My name is Bert, and this is the Still Life Podcast. Welcome back to the Still Life Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bert. It is a rainy Thursday afternoon here. The rain held off pretty much most of the day until right about 10 minutes ago, and it's just kind of started dumping. So I was able to get some fishing in today. Prior to that, I had an interview this morning at 10 o'clock. I feel like it went really, really well. They had some other interviews to conduct, and I should hopefully hear back, if not tomorrow, early next week. Fingers crossed that things go well and I get the call back. The good call back, not the bad call back. So I got up early this morning, went and got coffee, kind of like I usually do, just about every day. Then I came back home and got into one of my hobbies. It's a newer hobby that I've acquired over about the last 4 months, and it's making my own fishing plastic. So worms, shad, creatures, stuff like that, the plastics that you put on the hook, typically for bass. So I've learned how to do that, and I'm remelting a lot of my old plastics, and then I've got some new plastic, what they call virgin plastic, or plastisol, to make some new colors and things like that. So got into that a little bit this morning, got a nice little stockpile of 4-inch Sticko worms, which are just straight little worms, shorter, that I like to use for my Ned rigs when I go chasing after largemouth bass. So did that for a little while, had my interview, and it was still pretty nice outside. Overcast, but it was really nice after my interview. So had a quick bite to eat, and then went fishing for a little while. Nothing crazy today, handful of bluegill, no luck with the bass today, which I kind of expected with all the rain we've gotten over the last several days. But as always, it was just nice to get outside, enjoy some fresh air, and just some peace and quiet, and kind of reflect in nature. Now, one of the highlights of my little excursion today had absolutely nothing to do with fish, but with birds. I encountered this beautiful little swallow on one of the docks that I was fishing off of, and I took probably about 100 pictures, but I was able to get within 3 feet of this little bird, just a beautiful little purple and orange bird. I'll post the pictures up on my Instagram at The Still Life so you guys can see it. And I think really it appeared like the bird was just as curious about me as I was about it. So I was just kind of snapping pictures, getting some different looks. It would look away, it would look at me, look to the side. And it was just absolutely fascinating and super cool that it let me get that close before it flew away. But anyway, it was just one of those neat little moments that I've had out in nature that's certainly memorable, and I should hopefully have some really good pictures of it. Like I said, I'll post those up on my Instagram later on. And really, it's moments like those that remind me to stay calm and relax and to just really let my guard down. And because I was being vulnerable and wasn't being aggressive or super hyped up about getting close to the bird, it allowed me to get very close, and I was able to really get some neat pictures. And that's just one of the many moments and interactions I've had in nature that reminds me to slow down, calm down, enjoy myself, relax, let my guard down, and just be peaceful. And it's just so calming and soothing. I mean, I wasn't getting antsy. I wasn't nervous. My heart rate, I'm sure, dropped substantially. But just to have that experience of getting that close with such a small bird, usually they're fairly nervous creatures, especially the smaller ones, again, because they're small. And so just to be able to get in that close and get the pictures and have that little bit of interaction with the bird was just really special. And it really, when the bird finally flew away, I just felt good. I felt very much at peace, very relaxed, and very calm. And I've been able to carry that through to the rest of the afternoon. And of course, as of right now, as I'm recording this podcast, really I wanted to take a nap, but I also knew that I needed to get an episode done today. So here I am. Afterwards, I might take a little bit of a nap. It could happen. Now, I know there are people that don't enjoy nature, and that's okay, but I encourage you to find that thing that makes you relax, that calms you down, slows your heart rate down, and gets you to let your guard down. Because that's really when we recharge mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, is when we're able to just relax, let everything go. There's not a million things going on in our head, and just kind of be still. So nature is very much that recharging station for me. For other people, it's digging into a book. For some people, it's playing a game or watching a movie or TV show. It's a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and some people have more than one kind of recharge station that they can use to kind of recharge, re-energize, reinvigorate themselves. For me, my primary one is nature, just to get outside, especially fishing, or just walking around. There's some local trails out here by me that I like to go walk at and just kind of take in some fresh air, especially right before or right after a good rain. The smell of rain, to me, is just one of the most incredible smells. I can smell it coming in. It just smells fresh and clean. And the same thing after a good rain, you just walk outside and everything just smells fresh and clean and kind of rejuvenated. And so just being out in nature is such a huge boost to my overall system. Now, with that said, I'm hoping that translates into getting a solid night's sleep tonight. That would be just fantastic. I've had kind of a rough go all week. I've had some moments of great sleep, but there's been a lot of waking up periodically throughout the night and being kind of restless. And I believe a lot of that stems from the current job search and kind of being stressed out and needing to find something here in the next couple of weeks so that hopefully I can start work the beginning of June. Getting some income coming in, being able to get back into the gym, hopefully, and starting to work out and really having some consistency and more of a quote-unquote normal life. Not working for the last 7 months, almost 8 months, has been absolutely brutal on my psyche and my mental health. So that was one of the reasons that I started this podcast in the first place, was that I needed an outlet. I needed something constructive to do that gave me purpose. And so this podcast has been that for me. And so I am grateful to everyone that's listened, taking time out of their day to spend with me listening to the podcast, because it means an awful lot to me in a lot of ways. So with that, that's all I've got for today. So I'd like to thank you all for joining me on the Still Life podcast. As always, for questions, comments, topic ideas, or suggestions, or if you'd like to become a sponsor of the Still Life podcast, you can reach us at thestilllifepodcast@gmail.com. That's thestilllifepodcast@gmail.com. Also, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Audible, wherever you listen to podcasts. I very much appreciate your support. So thanks again for joining me today on the Still Life podcast. We'll talk again soon.